Hey mates, and welcome to More Than Meets the Eyes. I'm your host Blind Prime, and that's my co-host Cream the Cat. What are you doing, Cream? You took my chair. This is the host chair, not the co-host chair. Yeah, go to the co-host position. There you go. That's a good Cream. Get into that co-host position. Yeah. Nuts. Knocking things over here at blind_prime. Hi, for today, I have for you a G.I. Joe Classified Series figure that we have all been waiting for. The best G.I. Joe Classified figure, at least to some people's opinion. And I think he's a cool character, and finally, we get a very important character. So, I'm going to start doing something new, where we're going to try and get information for this character in a unique manner. So, without further ado, computer, who is the G.I. Joe character Sci-Fi?
Sci-Fi is the G.I. Joe team's laser trooper. His real name is Seymour P. Fine. He's from Geraldine, Montana, and specializes in laser weapons and electronics.
There we go. Thank you.
You got it.
That is the character Sci-Fi. His real name is Harold, but we'll call him Sci-Fi because it's a cooler name, in my opinion. Anyway, today's video, I'm going to be discussing Sci-Fi and talking about him from top to bottom, discussing this really cool laser specialist, a weapons engineer in the G.I. Joe universe. So we finally get a weapons engineer for the G.I. Joe team. We've already gotten a couple of weapons engineers for Cobra, and I'm very happy that we finally get somebody for the Joes. It's nice to, we got a few mechanics and an engineer here and there, but we haven't actually gotten a weapons engineer, somebody who's developed these. And I think that's really cool. Wouldn't it be awesome if we also got the guy who created, the Mobat and the Striker? Isn't it the Striker? Yeah, I think it's the Striker. And all those other vehicles. I think it'd be really cool if that was a character that they created in G.I. Joe. If they have, then I need to get him if I haven't already gotten him. So let's get into this figure from the blind perspective, because here on my channel, which name will be changing soon most likely, but here on my channel we discuss things from the blind perspective, because I am blind, so I talk about things that aren't the color or what's painted on the figure. I just discuss how the figure feels in hand. So you're not going to get me distracted by eye candy. Instead, I'm going to be distracted by hand candy. So let's get into this from the blind perspective. And number one thing that I enjoy doing with all of my videos like this is, first and foremost, I like to compare him to other figures in the same line. And the number one figure I always like to compare him to, and for some reason you're like blocking the sight of the other guy, so let's just move you over here, and I knocked something else over, which is trying to knock you over. No, stop that. Stop. Good. All right, and then you can sit here. Glenda? There you go. Cool. All right, let's talk about him compared to the G.I. Joe Classified Series Iron Grenadier BAT. Yeah, I used to do the regular bat, but I like the Iron Grenadier bat more than I like the regular bat. But if you are a G.I. Joe Classified Series collector in any form or fashion, you have at least one bat in your collection. There's a lot of bats, and if you don't have one, get one, because they're amazing figures by themselves. They are top-notch, one of the best figures in the entire line, and that's why they keep remaking them the way they do. Now, please stand up straight, Sci-Fi, so I can kind of situate my bat and pop those two hinges upwards. Got to make sure his hip hinges are popped in, or else the measurement won't be precise. Your hip hinges are popped in, right? Yes, and yes. Okay, so first, we're going to compare them face to face, like they're facing on the battlefield. And the top of the helmet for the for Sci-Fi goes up to the very, not the top of the helmet, but just to the edge of the top of the helmet thing, the headpiece for the Iron Grenadier bat. And that's the special head, the head that also came with the Arctic Bat series. Now we'll compare them shoulder to shoulder. And you okay, Cream? Yeah? Alright. Shoulder to shoulder, and we see that both of these characters actually kind of line up on the shoulders. They are very tall figures each. So there it is. actually, with the shoulder and how it works for Sci-Fi, I think his shoulder may be a little taller than the Bat's shoulder. The Bat may have met his match when it comes to shoulders, though the Bat's head is taller, so figure that out. Though I think the reason that these shoulders for Sci-Fi are bigger because he's got these big old shoulder pauldrons on, and that could be the case for making his shoulders a bit taller than the Bat's. Weight-wise, the Bat and him are about the same weight with all their accessories being held. So let's set the Bat off over here to the side, and let's compare him to a few more figures. All right. So we have for us for the collection right here, this is Glenda from the Cobra, not the Cobra, the, are you Glenda? No. You're the Night Viper. We talked about you the other day. Let's compare the Night Viper to Sci-Fi, because both of these guys definitely will be fighting each other on the battlefield. They're about at the same height, and shoulder-wise, let's line you up, Night Viper. There you go. Shoulder-wise, because of his shoulder pauldrons, the Sci-Fi character definitely has it on the Night Viper. So let's set Night Viper off over here to the side. Nuts. Night Viper just bit the dust. Oh, good. You fell in such a way that you took out the Iron Grenadier Bat. Thank you, Night Viper. Totally so helpful. All right, here is... Who are you? You're Glenda from... from the helicopter... Dragonfly. Almost blanked on the name. This is of course the flight suit Glenda from the Dragonfly helicopter, and I figured, why not compare him to her. I like her character. She was one of the better G.I. Joe sculpts, and I think they actually recolored her for Scarlet. So comparing them face to face, she comes up all the way to midway up his faceplate, so I'd say around his nose level, midway up his nose, or just to his eyes, from the top of her head to his. Shoulder-wise, side by side, her shoulders are a lot lower than his by at least a finger's width. Weight-wise, he definitely has it on weight compared to her. And will you please stand up straight? Thank you. Okay. I really wish the G.I. Joe Classified series figures came with the same little stands that the retro figures come with. I keep buying more retro figures just so I can have more of these little stands to display my G.I. Joe Classified series figures on. I like my Classified figures standing really well, and those little stands that come with the retro figures are perfect for that. Now, where is Flight Suit Baroness at? You fell again, even with a stand. Flight Suit Baroness, you are just absolutely terrible. Though I have a feeling cream is the reason for your falling this time. Now, let's put your foot back in the little socket. Come on. There it is. Okay. Do you at least have your glasses on? Please tell me you have your glasses on. You do. Good. Okay, so here is Flight Suit Baroness from the Rattler, and your other foot came out of its socket just about the same time I fixed the other. There it goes. All right, so we're going to compare these two characters side by side without the stand that I just put her feet back into. And we've got it right here. Here we go. Kapow. Nice side-by-side comparison. His shoulders are definitely taller than hers. And front comparison, he's definitely got her on height. But not by much, actually. So lower your arm so we can get a little better comparison there. Height-wise, yeah, Baroness is a taller female figure, so she's almost at his height, but he's still taller. Let's go ahead and put Baroness back on the little stand so I don't lose her. Or at least, she doesn't fall over again, because she does like to fall over. That's a curse of some of these female figures. They can't help themselves. Now, we also have the G.I. Joe Classified Series Mole Rat version 2, which, in my opinion, is one of the better figures they've made. I really like my Mole Rat, and I really wish I got some Mole Rat V1s. If y'all ever want to make Blind Prime happy, just give me some Mole Rat V1s. And a couple more V2s. The shoulder-wise, they have the same height on shoulders, and head-wise, Sci-Fi his head just is slightly taller than the Mole Rats. Here they are side by side. Darn it, Cream. Where did I put that bottle of Gatorade? Oh man. Here it is. All right. Excuse me. Had to wet my whistle. Cream in his cat hair. Okay, so that's the comparisons. I like making the comparisons. And you know what? Just for funsies, here is a one more just special comparison right here. We've got a battle damaged Optimus Prime from the Target exclusive MTMT line. And here he is compared to Sci-Fi. His head is taller than Sci-Fi's, and his shoulder is definitely at a higher space than Sci-Fi's. But funny enough, they both weigh about the same. So setting the battle-damaged Optimus Prime away. Now let's really get into Sci-Fi and talking about everything that comes with this really unique figure. And I'd like to start off first and foremost with the two items that aren't on the figure right now. First being these fun little sunglasses. So he comes with these goggles that you can put on his face. So I currently have his big face mask on, so we can take and remove this this visor on his helmet. We just kind of peel it off. His helmet doesn't have the visors when they're added. I mean, when he comes out of the packaging, so you have to add the visor later. And here is the little bitty visor. We can just kind of put that on, and that covers just his eyes. So now he looks more like a character from Mass Effect. And I think that's really cool that he has, that's kind of what it is. He has a Mass Effect helmet. So you can have the character with this little covering over his eyes, but revealing his mouth and the tip of his nose, like in Mass Effect 1. Or you can have the character fully faced up, protecting his nose and mouth and his entirety of his face, just like in Mass Effect 1. I really like that. You know, when the characters, if you were on a planet that had regular air, they only had a visor. But if you were on a planet with no oxygen, they had a full face mask. And that's kind of what this guy's got. And that's really cool. I like the fact that you can decide which one to do. If you want full face armor or if you want a just a smaller face mask. And speaking of Sci-Fi, I really hope he shows up in the Energon universe if he hasn't already. He just seems like a very fun character. So that's his face mask stuff. He also comes with these, which are two blast effects. So he comes with this basketball blast effect. I mean, it's not a basketball. It's a big old energy ball. So you can have him pulling a halo and charging his laser gun before firing his laser gun. Let's see if we can get that in the right spot. There we go. So he can charge his laser gun before firing it, and I think that's kind of neat. And then of course you can plug in the firing blast effect so that he can charge his gun and fire his gun, but it droops because it's very heavy. Like this basketball thing that is the charger piece. I don't really like it because I consider it's really big. It's bigger than his head. Okay, it's wider than his head, and it's very heavy. I don't like it whenever blast effects are too heavy, because it causes the character's limbs to get a little worn down. But the other blast effect, which is this long laser thing, it's all rough on one side, and then it kind of comes to a laser point on the other, and it plugs into the gun just nicely, and it's really tight plug into that gun. And I really appreciate it when we get blast effects with our characters. Like, it's rare that we get blast effects these days, and so I want more blast effects. I love my blast effects. I try to get all the characters I can that have blast effects with them because they're just too much fun. So let's now take the helmet off the character. So you just kind of move his chin strap upwards just a bit, and you pull. You move the chin strap and you pull. Come on now, get your chin strap off your chin. Come on. Nuts. Alright, there it goes. There it goes. Let's get that helmet off. Okay, so this is a typical helmet like we've seen with G.I. Joe. The only difference from this helmet to other helmets that we've come across is, will you stand, please? He doesn't like standing. The biggest difference that we have with this helmet and others is that it's got these two little notches, one on each side of it, where his face masks kind of slip in and hold down. Otherwise, it feels very similar to a helmet, except here also at the strap, instead of a thin strap piece like we got with Doc that ends in a chin strap, this is actually very solid. It is more reminiscent of a motorcycle helmet than it is a military helmet. But the top of it is very similar to the military helmets that we've gotten with many of our G.I. Joe characters. It's just that he's got this different glossy strap across the back that covers the back of his neck, and the chin strap is thicker and more motorcycle helmet feeling. It's really cool, but motorcycle helmets would have something covering the mouth. This one actually has just something covering the tip of the chin. So that's the helmet. Really nice little helmet. I really like it when we get characters that have removable helmets. It's extra fun. So we also get this hose. So let me go ahead and deattach the hose from the back of the backpack. There's a big circle in the center that the hose attaches into. And then we can take and deattach the hose from the underside of the gun in a little peg section. The hose is about the same height, actually a little taller than our Sci-Fi character. So that's the hose, not much more. It has the same textures as all the other hoses we've got. Now let's get his fun laser gun out of here. Get it out of your hands, sir. There we go. Now his laser gun is very unique. It's got some great little textures to it. Hard plastic. We've got hard plastic all around. No softs that I was able to find. He has a iron sight on this laser gun, and this laser gun is very thick in some places, but thinner in others. It's really cool, and I think it's a lot better gun than a lot better of a laser gun than what we got with Chef in the, was it Chef? Anyway, with one of the first characters, Roadblock, not Chef, Roadblock. The Roadblock came with a big laser gun in the first wave of G.I. Joe Classified series figures, and that gun was just obscene. So this one it makes more sense in my opinion. I like it a lot more. It's really cool, it's really compact, and it has some really nice little textures to it. It's very smooth and sleek, and when I feel this gun, I think Sci-Fi. And that's really what I wanted to feel whenever I was talking about this character. I wanted his accessories to make me think of this character. So let's come around here to his backpack and take his backpack off. Now his backpack is a very unique one. So this is the battery for his laser gun. This is where all the stuff happens to make sure that he can do the laser gun stuff. And it's got these big vents so that it can cool off. And it's shaped like a little Y. So there's a tiny little gap at the bottom, and there's two big vent things on either side of that gap, and then it comes up to be a big square-sided bit, and then the square-sided tapers down to a point, and the point is at the leg of the Y, and this point has a little vent at the top or something like that, and then in the center of it we've got the hole that you plug the hose into. And it's a very neat little guy, very, very cool. And just for curiosity's sake, because I like to do this cross-compatibility stuff occasionally, we've got Optimus Prime's gun here. I don't know if it'd be a great example because of the way this is shaped, and it is not a great example because of the way this is shaped. So we gotta find a better gun. Maybe... No, that is not a 5mm port, so just an FYI, you can't you can't plug in really cool weapons from the Transformers line. Sad, I know. There we go. His gun is put back on his back, and now let's continue talking about this figure. So, that's the backpack, the helmet, the gun, and his other gun is non-existent because he doesn't have another gun. This guy relies on his laser gun. If his laser gun fails him, well, he failed himself. Well, let's talk about this figure from the bottom to the top, like I normally like to do. He has got boots that have edges, but the underside of them is actually textured to get kind of a boot print going on here on the underside. He's got the little peg holes in his heels so you can attach him to some platforms. We come up to the tops of his boots, and he doesn't have any wrinkles in his shoes because he's not wearing normal shoes. This guy is wearing metallic Sci-Fi boots. You know, he's wearing actual armor. And come over here to his his shin, and he's got this big shiny piece of armor that goes across his shin and comes around all the way back to the rear. It's very, very precise. I think it'd been cool if they had given us little jets on the back like they did with Scarlet, with the OG Scarlet from the original Classified line. That would have been neat to get little rocket boots on the backs of his legs, but this is cool. I like the fact that this is obviously an extra layer onto kind of a figure underneath it, or at least that's kind of what it feels like this was glued on top of a leg. And this armor leg does move really well. We've got a very good double joint on that. That is just insane. He can kick himself in the butt with his heel. That's really good. Really good articulation there. The texturing feels like good, strong, sturdy armor. It feels very sci-fi. It feels like a Space Marine's armor. His knee pad, very edgy. Like it's got there's not really many rounded edges on this guy. Everything's got an angle to it, and that's so that, I'm assuming so that if he gets hit with lasers, the lasers will refract away, and they'll reflect in different directions. So coming up here to his thighs, he's got some mesh over his thighs so that he can have a couple of pockets here. He's got a pocket which may have extra laser lenses in it or something on his right thigh, and then on his left thigh he's got a pocket in the same place. This guy, his legs are the same left and right, except for the feet, but there's no odd asymmetrical stuff going on here. On the inside of his legs, he does have finally some cloth texture up here at the thighs. Down here at the lower legs, no cloth texture, but on the inside of the thighs we get cloth texture. So it's a looser fabric on the inset than it is on the outset of his thighs. The wrinkles in the cloth do kind of show that, unless that isn't a wrinkle. Is that a... No, that's a strap. My bad. I thought that was a wrinkle. That's a strap going around to strap the thigh armor down on either side. There is a wrinkle underneath the strap, though. So there's a strap with a completely different, very rough texture, and there's also cloth wrinkled. That's really neat. Coming up here to his his crotch area, we've got the arm, we've got some crotch armor going on there. We've also got kind of a really cool belt that comes around the entirety of him. You can tell this is sort of an exterior armor that he's putting on top of clothing, and he's even got another little pocket off to the left-hand side of his waist area. Now, his legs are drop-down hinge. They do come forwards pretty far. They do go back very decently well, but not too far back because of the butt pad. They do kick sideways at a 90, though, and then they pop back in. He's got a rotation. Where you got a rotation? You got a rotation at your foot, but there's not any rotation. Well, let's see. Is that a rotation? Yeah, he's got a thigh rotation, but nothing else. There's no boot rotation, which we normally get with G.I. Joe Classified Series figures, sadly. But we do get a thigh rotation. Then we come up here to his core area. He's got that kind of weird socketed ball joint thing for his waist, which will allow him to wiggle left and wiggle right and wiggle forwards and wiggle back. And it also is kind of ratcheted, so you can kind of position him in different places and he'll stay there. Then we come up here to his top bit. You have the up and down ratchet, or do you have the rotating ball and socket ratchet for your core? Huh? Sadly, his core seems to be... Oh, it's the ball and socket core. Yay, us. We got a ball and socket core for his upper. So he's got a ball and socket for the lower and a ball and socket for the upper. And I really prefer those over the ratcheted ones. So that means you can get a lot more movement with this figure when it comes to posability with the core. Really fun stuff there. His head is on a ball joint and can look downwards decently, can look up, can crack his head left and right, and he can pull a full exorcist if you want to. His armor, when it comes to his core, is very neat because he's got these big stripes that remind me of Beachcomber or Beachhead. He has a Beachhead had that really fun feeling fabric with all the vertical lines, and this guy's got very similar armor on his front, but they're very wide, big vertical lines going up his front. On his back, it's very smooth and sleek. His ab area has got little pieces of armor all kind of stitched together to allow for greater mobility in his lower core. Then on the back, we've got the same stuff on the back area. We even have this line etched in there that's some sort of power line that runs from from where his backpack connects into his back, all the way underneath the armor here on the side. And I'm assuming that is the power cable, and it runs on the other side too. I'm assuming those are the power cables for his armor, and they etch them in so that they connect to his backpack. And that's a really fun little attention to detail I appreciate. And we also get this really cool shoulder armor stuff going on. Some very neat textures happening here, very, ridges and stuff like that, but very smooth. And it's got a glossiness to everything. Except his thigh area. It felt very flat in his thigh area. We come over here to his arms. On the inside of his arm, we've got some wrinkled fabric. On the outside of his arm, we've got some armor that's been strapped on. We got big, wide straps for that armor. His lower his lower arm has got a big old gauntlet that goes from his hand all the way to his elbow, and it's got some very smooth textures to it as well. It's very sleek. There's lines in it. It's cool. He's got double jointed elbows. He can rotate at the bicep. He can move his arm up at a 90 and then forwards. 360-degree motion there. He's also got a bit of a butterfly in the arm area. His hand can rotate, and his hand can go up and down, and his other hand can rotate, and his other hand can go left and right. So, that is his character so far. We come up here to his head, and let's finally finish up with the textures on his head. He's got a very thin cut hair. It's very cut, it's cut very low to his scalp, except kind of this center bit that feels a bit longer, maybe akin to a mohawk is what I'm feeling. Either that or he's just kind of got longer hair that he swooped backwards and combed down. It's either one of those things for his hair. His ears, very nicely textured. I really like that. We come over here to his face. He's got eyebrows that have a rougher texture to them. He's got inset eyes, a little kind of a nose, kind of peeks out a bit. This nose is a little spiky. So it comes down and just swoof out there. And then it sweeps back in. He's got a nice little mouth, and his chin is nicely pronounced. I think this is an amazing figure for the G.I. Joe Classified Series line, but then again, most figures I review for my channel I think are amazing figures to the G.I. Joe Classified line. With this guy's textures and his extra accessory with the whole full face covering with the helmet and the fact that you can switch that out and the blast effects, I think that this character is an S category character. This is one of those must-have characters in the G.I. Joe Classified Series line, especially if you're like me and you like the more sci-fi things over the traditional military things. If you're more of the sci-fi style collector, then sci-fi is up your alley. I mean, it's in the name. And also, if you're also like me and like your engineers and your people that run the stuff when not on the battlefield and make sure that all the equipment works and the G.I. Joes had the best possible equipment, then you want him for your collection too, because he's the one who builds the laser guns. All the laser guns that G.I. Joe uses, Sci-Fi builds. So isn't that neat? He's the designer, and it's cool we finally get a weapons designer for G.I. Joe. That way we could have him fight Scrap Iron. Isn't that cool? Anyway, I've been Blind Prime, and this has been Cream the Cat, and I hope you have enjoyed today's episode, because I've enjoyed making it and enjoyed talking about a figure that has been too long in coming. In the comments below, let me know what you think of Sci-Fi. Is he up your alley or is he not? Inform me. Inquiring minds need to know. Until next Prime, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye-bye for now.